What is up, everyone? Welcome back to The Vibe. I'm Ethan, or EJ, and you are currently listening to episode 3 of the Visualize podcast. Visualize is all about seeing and understanding life through different lenses and ultimately visualizing life in a better perspective. This is just a place where we can just share stories, have great conversations, and to just vibe, pretty much. So I'm super glad to have everyone here today. I hope everyone's doing well and having an amazing, blessed week. Today's episode, we're talking about summer. Where I live, it's been pretty hot, but that we've actually had a couple of days where it's been kind of cold. And, at least where I live, leaves are changing. Coffee shops are coming out with pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin spice anything. And so, it's that time of the year, it's autumn. I know for me, I'm super ready for it. I've been thrifting a lot lately, and I've been finding some really dope like sweaters and stuff like that. And, I've really been pushing it. I've been starting to kind of wear sweaters, even though it's hot outside. I'm super excited for autumn. I'm super excited. But before we transition into this new season, I kind of wanted to dedicate an episode to just talk about my summer experience. The title of this episode is called A Pacific Summer, Reminisced and Reflected. Essentially, today we're going to talk about my summer going by month, because for me, this summer this year has been a pretty nice one. There were summers, especially like during COVID, where we just stayed at home and we didn't really do anything. But this summer was quite eventful, and I kind of wanted to just share that to all of you guys. You might be wondering, why did you call it a Pacific summer? If you aren't following me on my Instagram at the Ethan Gonzales, or my new podcast Instagram at Visualize by EJ. A couple weeks ago, I posted I guess you could call it like a short film. It was just a series of videos that I had made, kind of documenting my summer experience when I went to the West Coast and when I went to the Philippines. And so if you haven't watched that, definitely check that out. It's probably one of my favorite videos I've ever created. And so that's pretty much today's episode. But before we get into it, make sure to follow this podcast wherever you are listening. I've been actually checking my analytics, and I see that a lot of people listen on Apple Podcasts. So shout out to y'all. Make sure you guys follow wherever, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever. And also follow at Visualize by EJ. Let me say it again, at Visualize by EJ on Instagram and also on TikTok. That's right, we are on TikTok as well. Kind of just to, again, advertise this podcast out and to share it. So, I would really appreciate it if you guys followed me there. And also rate this podcast. Be transparent if there's anything you want me to get into this podcast. All right, let's get into it. So the way I kind of structured this episode was I was going to divide it up into months, right? So let's start off in May. And I know what y'all finna say. Bro, May isn't a summer month. And here's the thing, y'all. So I'm a May baby. I was born on Cinco de Mayo, or May 5th. And for a lot of my life, I've always thought that my birthday kind of fell into summer, when really it falls into the spring. Summer doesn't start until late June for us in Colorado, in the States. Sometimes I consider my birthday to be in the summer, but it's actually in the spring. But kind of just starting off with my birthday era, I turned 19 this year, and it was very exciting, but also quite nerve-wracking, because it's wow, I'm 2 years away from being 21. That's crazy. And then I'm going to enter my 20s. But if I remember correctly, this year we actually had a pretty simple celebration. I remembered one year I did a party with all of my like high school friends. But this year I kind of just wanted to keep it simple. I really spent my birthday with the people I love, which were my parents and my siblings and God. And so that day, May 5th, luckily I didn't have school that day. So I was just enjoying. I remembered I cooked myself some breakfast that day. Spam and eggs with rice, which is like one of my favorite ever breakfasts. And then I also got my ears pierced that day. I remembered my dad treated me out to Crumble Cookies. If you don't know what Crumble Cookies is, it's a really good place in my opinion. I kind of like their cookies. They each week they have new flavors, and yeah, it's just a dope cookie shop. And then that night we actually went to this Italian restaurant called Macaroni Grill. So it was a very simple celebration, but I've kind of been appreciating a lot more lately just simple events, you know. Sometimes, like back then I would always want to be like go all out, you know, but now I kind of appreciate somewhat like small, like simple events, you know. Sometimes like I was actually talking about this with my friend just recently, how like even with hangouts, sometimes I like to hang out with myself, and that's okay, you know. Sometimes, you know, hangouts don't even have to be, you know, like crazy. Sometimes it could just be you and a person hanging out at some like your house and just talking about some really deep stuff, you know. So I don't know, I've just been liking that, just, you know, simple celebrations. One thing as well that happened in May that was really a big thing for me was the semester ended. And if you hadn't seen my video on my YouTube channel, I did a video about a week in the life of a college freshman. And I was majoring in nursing, pre-nursing, and I was also in Air Force ROTC. And to be honest, like that semester was quite stressful. I'm not gonna lie. It was quite interesting. I remembered in the video, I kind of painted it to be like, you know, yeah, like you just gotta manage your time, and like, you know, like this semester is kind of like, it's kind of breezy, you know, it's not too bad. But towards like midterms and then going into the end of the semester with finals, it just hit me like a train. I really experienced what college was like that semester, where, you know, with like burnout and with with like stress eating and with, you know, nights where I don't even eat, you know. And it's just it was just a hectic semester. So I was really glad that I finished that semester. But really, so I finished that semester either the first or second week of May. And really, I kind of wanted to reminisce on my last day of Air Force ROTC. If you don't know, I was in Air Force ROTC my first year of college. And I remember that last day, it was quite emotional for me, because us first year cadets, we were actually, most of us, we were wearing our kind of Air Force blue uniform. And I don't know, it was just kind of, I kind of had a moment where I looked at everyone and it's like, wow, like we made it 1 year in the program. And there were even some cadets who were graduating, who were commissioning into the Air Force. And I just felt like, man, like I just felt proud, you know, seeing these people that I'd been training with for so long kind of like make it to this point. And I remembered that day, it was sunny and we were taking photos and we were just like kind of hugging it out. And I just kind of had a moment where, you know, I just felt happy, like, wow, like, you know, I met these new people, and, you know, just like hard work pays off. I just had a moment there. But, you know, it always feels good when you finish a semester, when you finish something that you know you've been like struggling with, or you know you've like been going through for some time. Like really that's what I've been learning a lot, even with my relationship with God, with Jesus, how, you know, we go through different seasons in life. Sometimes some seasons don't always feel the best, don't always feel pleasant, but either way, God's gonna like bring you through it. He's gonna deliver you, even through rough times where you feel like, man, Lord, like how much more time do I have to be in here? No, He's gonna. It just always feels good when you come to the end and you see, like, wow, all that hard work, all them tears were worth it. So, but yeah, that was May. So kind of going on into June, when I concluded my semester, I remembered I deleted all like my school apps. I best believe I deleted Canvas, I deleted Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word. I don't know, for me, just deleting those apps, if you watch Euphoria, you know this saying, out of sight, out of mind. It's like, I'm not seeing it, so I'm not even going to think about it, you know? So until the next semester. So really, like, going into June was, I'd say, a pretty eventful month for me as well. I went thrifting with a couple of friends. I was able to catch up with a lot of friends that were in my high school, that were in my middle school, that I've known for so long. I even went to my first disco with some friends, and that was fun. Shoot, I showed up and showed out in a cute outfit. I mean, it was a really exciting night. So I went to this, I wouldn't consider it a club. It's more of like a restaurant, but it has they have a lot of events there. And it was a really just nice disco. And I was very nervous, y'all. I asked my dad to drop me off because I knew parking would be terrible. So just, you know, so that it could be easier, I asked my dad to drop me off and I'll meet my friends there. And I remember before I arrived, I was praying. I was like, Lord, I was nervous. I was like, man, like, you know, you hear these like horror stories at the club, and like my dad, he was like telling me all these advice, like saying, all right, Ethan, you're in a club now, you know, like you got to make sure like you know where all of your stuff is, you know, you don't want no atención pickpocket, no. And so yeah, but luckily, you know, thankfully I had a good time with my friends. It was a very fun experience. However, I will say there was a very like shady moment after like the disco. So I remembered like we as friends, we were trying to get a group photo, and we asked this guy, and man, you could tell this guy was turned up. I mean, bless that man. Like he, I think he was, you know, under the influence. I will say that. But I think he said something real shady. Like I remembered like he was taking our photo, and then he said something about like say something inappropriate basically. And I was like, ooh. I remembered me and my friend, we gave each other the side eye. Like, all right, who's gonna tell him? No, but I mean, what else happened in June? It was I will say that it was definitely my I went off. Well, me and my family went off with just food. You know, we had a lot of crumble cookies. We had a lot of dates at like Panera, and just like I even went through like a Chipotle phase in June. We had some McDonald's. I remember back in June, it was like the Grimace. All I remember was like there was that purple milkshake at McDonald's, and I was like, oh shoot, they got ube? No. But we ate out a lot. I will say that. Also in June, there was just a lot of times where I thought about my future, in a sense of, okay, this is my second year of college, you know, things are going to get more serious in Air Force ROTC. I I also forgot to mention I took my nursing entrance exam. And so during that time I was kind of worried about, oh shoot, like, what's gonna happen. And there was just a lot of times where I thought and worried about the future. Essentially, I think during that time, or even in July, I think it was in July, I found out that that I didn't make it into the nursing program, but also I found out that I was medically disqualified from Air Force ROTC, meaning that I just, there was a low chance of me continuing on into the program. And I kind of had a moment where I started to question God of like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? Like, what do I do? And, I have to give it to my parents for like being so like supportive and very much loving, because sometimes when things don't go your plan, sometimes it can get to you. It can feel like a personal attack, right? But, having that support system, I mean, it just hits different. Especially in June and in July, I just started, thinking about, okay, like I might need to change my major, and, I want to remind everyone, God always provides answers if you ask him, and he can do so in the most clever ways that you haven't even thought of, and man, I remembered for a time, even in my second semester of my first year, I was questioning Jesus, why, what should I do? I don't even know what I want to do. I don't even know if I want to continue on with this. I don't even know if I might make it into the nursing program. Turns out he's leading me into a different direction. Something that my dad reminded me was, every time that there's a closed door, God opens up another one. Just because an opportunity for you closed or, isn't necessarily available for you, right? There's always a new one. There's always an open one. And yeah, that's definitely a very big lesson that I learned over the summer. But continuing on with June, it was Philippine Independence Day, and our family business, Cucinerang Caviteña, here in Colorado, actually participated in one of those Filipino Independence Day events here in Colorado, and actually we made it on the news. But the thing is, our piece, it's funny because I was, I remember the news people were there, the local station news. It wasn't Good Morning America. No, it was just the local TV station. And when they came to our table, I was like, oh shoot, we finna get famous. But I remembered I ate up that speech. I was like, yeah, we're Cucinerang Caviteña. But then we found out shortly they didn't include our interview or any of the vendors' interviews, because I think our showtime got cut short because there were other events going on. So I had a moment, I was like, man, it was a lot. It was a lot. But kind of going into the exciting part of the summer, during, I think it was late June, we started packing. And for me, I was the first to pack because let me tell y'all, I love packing. I love trying on my fits and kind of figuring out, okay, what am I going to wear to this day? What am I going to wear to this location? Right. And I remembered I was usually, even in our family, when we start packing, I'm the first one to start packing, but I'm also the last to end my packing process. I take a really long time. And so I remembered in mid to late June, I started packing. I was like, I'm so ready to go to, we went to Las Vegas and California and also the Philippines. I remembered I packed a lot because we were actually leaving a lot of our stuff in the Philippines since we have a house there now. Just for future vacation stays, we won't have to pack that much, so I remembered I packed obviously clothes. I packed a lot of shirts just to and just shorts just to leave in the Philippines. I also packed film and camera equipment, of course, because I have to capture our vacations there. And also I also packed our pasalubong, or our gifts to family over there. Yeah, and during that time even too, I kind of thrifted somewhat. I had some clothes that I wanted to bring in the Philippines. So yeah. So moving on into July, I remembered on the evening of 4th of July, my dad cooked us some spaghetti. This is so random, but I remember he cooked up some real nice spaghetti, and so we watched the fireworks. If you don't know, 4th of July is American Independence Day. So it was just fireworks everywhere. But that night I remembered we were actually weighing our stuff at an airport to just prepare. This time around, we actually didn't fly from Colorado to the Philippines. And so we actually wanted to just drive and then fly from LA or Southern California, so that it could be more cheaper. But also we wanted to visit, Las Vegas and California, because it has been a long time. So I think it was the first or second week of July, one morning we packed all of our things, we put it in our large vehicle, and I remembered before we went, we stopped at a gas station, we stopped at Crumble Cookies, and we went on this 12-hour drive from Colorado to Nevada. Usually when we have our long road trips from Colorado to Las Vegas, right, we usually make it to Vegas in one day. It's a 12-hour drive, but this time around we were like, you know what, let's just take our time. And so we went from Colorado and we drove to Utah, the state of Utah, and we stayed there for a night, and it was very interesting, I will say. I remember the hotel we stayed at Utah, we had, there was a KFC right next to it. So we had some KFC that night. And guys, this is so random. But, so we stopped at Utah. The next day we drove to Nevada, and we eventually got to Las Vegas, Nevada. And oh my gosh, I mean, it was so hot. The difference between Las Vegas and Southern California heat with Colorado heat is that in Colorado, it does get hot during the summer, 90 degrees. What is that? 32 degrees Celsius, or even 100 degrees sometimes. It gets super hot, but in Colorado, the heat is dry. It's not humid, but in SoCal and even in Nevada, I've noticed how it feels humid, but that doesn't compare to the Philippines heat, which we'll get into. So when we arrived in Vegas, the first thing we did, I think, was go to the hotel, drop off our stuff, and then we went straight to JOLLIBEE. It is a must. It feels like a family tradition ever since we started making those road trips to Las Vegas back when my grandparents were still alive in 2015. It was a must to go to the seafood city in Las Vegas. That seafood city there, it has JOLLIBEE, it has Chowking. They have a grill city. For those of you who aren't familiar with Filipino fast food chains, let me break it down for you. So JOLLIBEE is a Filipino fried chicken joint. It's they have a lot of cool stuff. We got the fried chicken, obviously. You could have it regular or you could have it spicy. They also serve some spaghetti some burger steak. You can get a very famous Filipino dessert there. Actually, can you? I know back then they did. Halo halo. And if they don't have that, you can go to Chowking. Chowking is this Filipino like Chinese food joint, like your siopao. It's kind of like this pork bun. It's really good. And we have siomai and dim sum. We have, your egg rolls. And then, as I mentioned, you can get a halo halo, a very famous Filipino dessert. So there's a lot of different choices there. It's always a must for us. Petition for a Jollibee to be built here in Colorado, because this is terrible. Guys, we are in 2023 and we don't have a Jollibee or a Chowking in the state of Colorado. That we need that. We need that right now. Anyways, I posted a video 2 years ago to my channel, and it kind of showed like what we did in Vegas. And the video is called like Our Trip to Vegas, I think. And pretty much everything that we did in Vegas back in like July was pretty much the same thing that we did 2 years ago when I filmed that video. We visited like the Bellagio. It's a very famous, it's a very huge hotel with a lot of like beautiful just scenery inside and outside. So I think we stayed there for about 2 days, and then we drove down to Southern California. And let me tell you guys, I was super excited to go to LA and just Southern California. We haven't visited California by that time in like 2 or 3 years. And the thing about me in California, it sounds like talking about like a past relationship. Like the thing about me and her, no, like California, I feel like it kind of has, California is kind of special to me in a way. I remember like growing up when we would have these like long road trips to California, even though it would be miserable and all stuffed in one car, it would be one of like the most fun, and I would just have a lot of happy moments going to California. But also I just really like the California style in a sense. I think compared to Colorado, especially where I live in, just the diversity, I'm very intrigued by it. Like in Southern California, there's a lot more like Filipinos and Asians, and there's just a large community. But also there's a lot of dope stuff that you could do there, like photo shoots and these dope sneaker shops and places to, like go out with your friends. And I mean, like there is some stuff here where I live in Colorado, but in California, I mean, I think they have like even like a Hello Kitty cafe, right? And I don't know. And even just the aesthetic of California. Every time I'm reminded of SoCal, I think about like the palm trees and the cool, like, the dope sunsets. Yeah. And so I don't know. I always get excited when I go to SoCal. But will I ever move there? The answer is no, currently, because for one of the first things I noticed when we went to California was the gas prices. I was like, ooh, that's a lot. Not in this economy, bro. Like that's a lot. That's a lot. Colorado, it isn't that bad here compared to Cali, so I'm gonna stay my brown butt here. So we went to many different places in SoCal. Before we went to the Philippines, we just stayed in the LA area, but when we came back from the Philippines, we stayed in the San Diego area. And so I remembered when we went to LA, our first day we went to Goldilocks. It's a very popular Filipino restaurant, Goldilocks. I remembered I posted something on my Instagram, like, about Southern California, and I tagged Goldilocks USA. Not them commenting on me. I think they said something like, "Thank you, what did you order?" And I said, "I ordered the pork barbecue and the bulalo. It was bussin'." Something like that. I was just playing around. And then they responded by saying like, "Oh, we're so glad." I was like, Dang, me and Goldie are besties. What are you talking? We're homies now. No. um, but yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Southern California. We went up to like Beverly Hills. I even met one of my internet friends, internet mutuals in Southern California for the first time. And we had dinner at like this Japanese restaurant. I reunited with a lot of cousins and a lot of family friends. It was nice. One of my besties there, Sophia, she took me to I think it was like Ranch 99. I think that's what it's called. It's like an Asian market over there. So it's so cool. It's so cool. And I don't know, there was just a lot of times where I was like, man, it would be nice. It would be nice to, you know, maybe live here for 1 month or something. No. But SoCal's a really pretty place. It is. And then after that, I mean, I think it was like either July 13th or July 15th, somewhere around there. We went to LAX and we flew to Korea, and Korea is a very like dope place as well, I will say. I just remembered that day when we arrived in Korea, I was so tired because of the time change. So I don't really remember a lot. I just remembered we went to when we went to our gate, there was a Starbucks. So I tried like Korean Starbucks, and let me tell you, Korean Starbucks, and even just like the Starbucks in the Philippines, man, they got a lot more options. And I guess, you know, depending on the country, they're gonna cater to, you know, their people. So, but I mean, like the Starbucks in Korea, bro, like they had blueberry cheesecake. They had these like cute like little like sandwiches and whatnot, like ham sandwiches, like BLT. Like I was like, dang, like that's bougie. I feel like imagine in the States, imagine if we had that. Oh man. But I really enjoyed. There's one story I would like to share, and that is I lost my necklace in Korea, I think. So I actually changed before we boarded our plane from Korea, from Seoul to Manila. I changed my clothes just so that like I could be more comfortable. That by the time we arrive in Manila, like, you know, I'll just be in a more comfortable state, right? And I'll look more presentable, right? And so I remembered, like, I put on my necklace. After I changed my clothes, I put on like one of my like go-to necklaces, which I've learned my lesson, which is I'm not gonna wear jewelry anymore to the airport, because I don't know what happened. I do not know what happened. We boarded the plane, we sat down, and I'm like putting on the seatbelt, right? And then I'm just like, okay, like I'm situating myself. And then I realized, bro, where's my necklace? My necklace was gone. And I was like, it had happened a couple times where like my necklace wouldn't latch on properly. So it would drop, and then I would eventually find it. But I remembered as we were like taking off, I was like, shoot, my necklace is gone. Either it fell in the airport and I will never see homie again, or it's somewhere in one of these like aisles. But obviously I didn't want to like go through. Anyways, so that was that. I think just for like, if for anyone who's listening who's gonna fly soon, I think just for simplicity's sake and just so that you won't be as stressed, don't wear jewelry. Don't do it, bro. Don't do it, sis. Because I remember taking off and oh my gosh, and then I fell asleep. And then, you know, I forgot to mention, from LA to Seoul, I think it took about like a good 10 or so hours, and then from Seoul or Incheon to Manila, it took like 5 to 6 hours. So, you know, I will say though, Korean Air, we flew Korean Air. They have some nice food. They feed you well. They do. I remembered I would get like bibimbap, which is kind of like this Korean dish with rice and meat and vegetables and hot pepper paste, and you mix it up. You know, at one point they had like a beef pasta. I think they fed us 3 times in that whole flight from LA to Seoul. It was absolutely an electrifying experience. For the first time, we actually arrived in the Philippines during the day. Usually we arrive in the Philippines at like in the middle of the night. But I got to experience like the busyness and the bustling airport during the day. We arrived in Ninoy Aquino International Airport, and man, when you left that airplane, you could just feel the heat. And I was like, I'm home, baby. I'm home. But when we were getting out, we were looking for our driver, our vehicle. It was so chaotic at the terminal. So many people were out. And while we were waiting, I just couldn't help but look at, you know, some of the families that were able to reunite with each other. Like either, you know, I'm guessing some of them are like overseas Filipino workers, or some of them hadn't seen each other for so long, and it kind of just like warms my heart. You know, some of them teared up, and I just couldn't help but see like how, like, man, like it just hits different. It hits different when you're going back to your home country. We eventually got our vehicle and we drove to our house, which took about like a good 1 to 2 hours, since we're from the province Cavite. And I remembered we were unloading all of our stuff, but then we had to like pack a separate bag because we were leaving for Pampanga the next morning, the province of Pampanga, which is north of Manila. And we were going to meet up some friends there, some family friends. We were going to visit this spa over there owned by one of our family friends, and we were gonna get pampered. I mean, we're talking like the whole fam. We were getting our nails did. Like it was honestly like a really cool like experience. But man, I remember it was just like bam bam bam, like event after event. After Pampanga, we immediately drove to Zambales, where another family friend, my godmother, lived. And it was our first time to Zambales, which is also in the north. But if I'm not mistaken, it's like on the northwest region of the Philippines. And there are like beautiful beaches there, essentially. We were able to pass by Subic Bay and Olongapo, which are very well-known port cities in the Philippines. Gosh, by our like second or third day, like I was already living the Filipino dream. Like we were going to like these beautiful beaches in Zambales, and we even went to this like wonderful like waterfall, so breathtaking, and we got to swim in there. It really was just a fun experience, to say the least. But thinking about it now, it was definitely very much well needed. I feel like the months leading up to that summer, it was quite like stressful and hectic, and just kind of taking the time to spend with people you love, you know, going to these places. It just felt so nice. We spent some time in Metro Manila. We went to Quiapo to shop there at like, you know, these different shops at night. We even went to I think it's called like Koreatown Manila. We ate at a lot of Korean restaurants. They have some good samgyeopsal there. Samgyeopsal, like grilled pork belly, is so good. You should definitely try it. I know here in the States, like we like bulgogi and kalbi are pretty well known, but samgyeopsal it hits different. It hits different. We even spent some time down south in Laguna. We spent some time in Tagaytay, in Cavite. I visited and hung out with my cousins. It was just a great time. We even went to this photo studio in Alabang, and it's called Atom Studios. It's a very I will say it's a very dope photo studio. It's something that I hadn't seen here in the States. Basically, you schedule an appointment, and like you purchase your package, and depending on like the time that you choose, either 15 minutes, 30 minutes, you basically reserve a photo studio for yourself, and you take all these photos, unlimited amount in the time that you chose, and afterwards they print them out for you, and you can do this like with like family and friends. Even just like the outcome of those photos looks so professional, and like there were all these like different colored backgrounds. It was so cool. Definitely check them out if you're going to the Philippines pretty soon. They're called Atom Studios. Shout out to them. All I know is like I've been wanting to go for a while. But there had been some celebrities, I think, that I saw who went, like I think like Gary Valenciano and Donnie Pangilinan went. They're pretty big celebrities there in the Philippines. But that kind of concluded our stay in the Philippines. This time around, I kind of didn't really record as much as when we went back in December. I did want to like share my experience in a way, but I also wanted to use that time to kind of reboot and kind of just cherish the moment. Sometimes even just like out of the YouTuber and content creator perspective, like sometimes we can, take photos and videos of a certain experience without actually experiencing it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something that I've kind of been wanting to mediate in a sense of, how do I enjoy an experience and actually live in it without, having to like take photos. And, don't get me wrong, like taking photos and videos, like I love doing that. Like, you always want to remember and those moments and have like, and kind of like have a souvenir of it. But, sometimes I would get carried away and I wouldn't really experience a moment. I would just, like take photos and videos. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that really was it for our stay in the Philippines. It was quite quick because we wanted to go back to the States before school started. And so when we got back to the States, we went from like the Philippines to Korea, and then Korea to LA, but then we went down to San Diego, and we spent like a couple days in San Diego. I hadn't visited San Diego in like a whole minute. Like, like I think the last time I went there, it had been more than 10 years, honestly. It was really nice. We went to SeaWorld, and it was a really nice way. I think we stayed there for a week. It was just a really nice way to kind of get used to that like American time, like the what's it called, the time zone difference, because that next week we had school and appointments. I remember the first day we came back, I had to go straight into a class for a program that I'm doing. So yeah, that kind of wraps up like my summer. I know we have August, but that was kind of just the fun part, the fun experience of this year's summer for me. And that was a lot. Like looking at my camera right now, I think I recorded almost an hour. So I hope everyone enjoyed this episode, kind of just me sharing my experience about this summer. I hope everyone else had an amazing summer as well. And moving forward, I want to remind everyone to cherish every moment, really. Something occurred in my family, and it kind of enabled me to just pause for a second and say to myself, like, yo, like, you never know what's going to happen. Cherish every moment. Love one another. Hug your family. Hug your friends. It doesn't matter what the people think. That's background noise. Enjoy life. Praise Jesus. Come to him. And yeah. I hope everyone enjoyed today's episode. Be sure to follow and rate this podcast. And also, as I mentioned, be sure to follow at Visualize by EJ on both Instagram and TikTok for more podcast updates. And yeah, I hope everyone has an amazing day. Whenever you're listening to this, stay tuned for the next episode. You are special, you are loved, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Be sure to remember that. I love you all, and until next time, peace. Are you kidding me? Did it not post, bruh?